A controversial Dutch holiday tradition is under scrutiny once again. Black Pete is a delight for some, but a racist symbol for others. So, in a year of Black Lives Matter protests, is it time up for this divisive figure? This is Inside Story. Hello and welcome to the programme. I'm Imran Khan. Many children in the Netherlands have grown up with the image of Black Pete. He's a helper for St. Nicholas, their equivalent of Santa Claus. But Black Pete is highly controversial. That's because the figure is usually a white person wearing blackface makeup with exaggerated lips and an afro wig. The tradition dates back to the 19th century, around the time of the global slave trade. Black people say the character is racist and has no place in modern Dutch society. Some cities have replaced Black Pete with a compromise figure called Chimney Pete, whose face is covered in soot instead.
It's
no longer appropriate to be completely covered with black makeup, so we're using suit. And the suit is because we're going through the chimney. And you're not this year, are you, St. Nicholas?
No, I'm working from home.
We wanted to adapt in order to make it fun for everybody and keep everybody happy.
The controversy intensified earlier this year when Black Lives Matter protests began in the Netherlands.
No more Blackface! No more Blackface! No.
Anti-Black Pete demonstrators often face supporters of the far right. Surveys suggest the majority of Dutch people want to keep the character, but public opinion is shifting. Some libraries recently removed children's books that feature Black Pete. Prime Minister Mark Rutte, who once defended the tradition, now says he's changing his attitudes as well.
En ook daar heb ik zelf ook grote veranderingen doorgemaakt over Zwarte Piet.
The moment I met little children with dark skin who told me they felt incredibly discriminated against because Black Pete is black, that's the last thing you want at a St. Nicholas party. But on the other hand, if the government were to decree that Black Pete is no longer allowed, then a lot of people who love that tradition will react. The tradition is changing over time. In a few years' time, there will be hardly any Black Petes, I expect.
Let's introduce our guests. In Amsterdam, Mitchell Assayas, an activist at the anti-Black Pete movement. In Kinshasa, Tracy Bibotansia, a political scientist and activist focusing on gender and race. And in London, Patrick Vernon, a cultural historian. A warm welcome to you all. I wanted to begin in Amsterdam with Mitchell Assayas. Mitchell, this character, Black Pete, is effectively the helper of St. Nicholas. He arrived some point in the 19th century as a helper to St. Nicholas into the Netherlands. At the same time, there's a global slave trade happening. These are all caricatures of what some white people might have thought a black person might look like back then. A grotesque caricature, I'm sure. But this is not just about a cute Christmas tradition. This is almost celebrating slavery, isn't it?
It is. It is. The tradition was invented in 1850. I'm currently in an archive around Black history, the Black Archives, and here you can see one of the first book in which it was introduced, and it was introduced 13 years before the abolishment of slavery. So that was a time in which people in Europe, in the Netherlands, looked at Black people as inferior beings. So in that context, this caricature was created, and that's why we protested against it.
But it's not just about that anymore, about the fact that the character was created from one space and time. Over the years, it's changed into a Christmas tradition. Many people in the Netherlands have grown up with this. They don't see anything wrong with it. Why is it now causing such controversy?
Yeah, absolutely. As you said, when this book was introduced, it became very popular, and it became the most popular tradition in the country, more popular than Christmas. And what you see in the Dutch context is that people believe that it's an innocent tradition, because a lot of people believe that there is no racism in the Netherlands. It's an innocent country. Racism happens in the US, in South Africa, but not here. So that makes it difficult to address the underlying legacy of slavery and colonialism. However, by criticizing the tradition, we've been able to open up a debate about both the tradition and the underlying issue of institutional racism.
But the Prime Minister is saying that actually you're moving far too quickly, too fast. You want to ban this tradition. He says, give it a few years. The tradition will die naturally.
Yeah, but he's been saying that for a long time, and people have been criticizing this tradition since the 1930s. So I'm asking the question, like, how long more should we wait? How much longer should we wait? I think when we talk about human rights, when we talk about racism, we shouldn't phase it out. We should completely end it immediately, so everybody can, live in a respectable and way, and in a way that people are treated equally.
Let's bring in Patrick Vernon here in London. Patrick, when you and
Shalom, shalom to you all. Welcome to the Forefront Radio. Welcome to the Forefront Radio, where the truth does not fear investigation. Hope everybody's doing all right. Let me get a couple of ones in the chat just to make sure the audio is good. Let me get a couple of ones in the chat. How y'all doing? Welcome once again to the Forefront Radio. Let me get a couple of ones in the chat. Let's start this discussion. All right, we got ones in the building. So what you just listened to, shalom to everybody, was a preview clip of information pertaining to a practice known as Zwarte Piet. Now, many people in the Afro-Hebraic community have been warning black folks, so-called Christians, about this insulting so-called holiday, right? And unfortunately, they don't know exactly who Zwarte Piet is, even though we try to explain it to them and show you the ties, how this relates to Europeans dressing themselves up in blackface. You understand? How it has a connection to our people being held as captives. Nobody that's melanated to celebrate this tradition at all. At all, y'all. Nobody on this green earth that's against captivity, that's against forced labor, that's against injustice should celebrate this thing, y'all. So we're going to talk about it. We're not going to get into sentimental talk. Shalom to everybody joining on. This ain't going to be sentimental, y'all. For those of you that are religious, this not for you. This is going over history. Y'all. That's what we're going to talk about, history. The dark history behind Zwarte Piet and your celebration known as Christ Mass. So I was driving with my wife today in the grocery store. And while we were in the grocery store, we saw different Christmas decorations. We saw the Christmas tree. We saw tinsel. We saw different things that they were holding up to decorate the place. And I'm just sitting there like, how in a black country, deep in the heart of Africa, they're celebrating Christmas, y'all? I don't get it. I don't get how our people are so intellectually inebriated with the ways of the Gentiles that they don't ask simple questions like, where did this come from? All the way deep in the heart of Africa, black folks are celebrating a tradition based on their captivity. And nobody stops to ask the question, what are we doing here? Where did this come from? We are going to examine Zwarte Piet, Black Pete, the blackface figure paraded all across Europe, y'all. Paraded all across Europe. You understand? Paraded all across Europe. A man that's supposed to be a saint in the Christian church. We are exposing papal laws and decrees that these missionaries with muskets came to bring forth to the people that are melanated. The holidays were used as a camouflage. I'm going to say it again for the kids in the back. The holidays were used as a camouflage. And the lies that was exported to Africa and the Americas have to stop. Because before the chains, guess what? There was a cross behind it. Before the plantations, there was laws from the Catholic Church in order for you to put a seal and stamp and morally justify our captivity. Before Christ's Mass was institutionalized as marketed joy, it was enforced as domination. Only somebody that's intellectually dishonest is going to celebrate this thing, y'all. Only somebody that's dumb, that don't know where stuff come from, is going to celebrate a tradition that has nothing to do with them. I'm sorry, but I got to read out of the Bible. Our people are dumber than an ox and an ass. Straight up. And we're going to cover it on the Forefront Radio. Tap the screen, get the likes up, share the room with at least 10 people. All right, y'all. All right, y'all. Let's get started. Welcome to the Forefront Radio. Welcome to the Forefront Radio. Shalom to you all that's joining on. Welcome to the Forefront Radio, where the truth does not fear investigation. I'm your host, Aphiel Levi Israel. Hope everybody doing all right. Hope everybody brewing all right. Let's get right into it, y'all. We're going to discuss this thing called Zwarte Piet, the origin story of Christ's Mass. Who was St. Nicholas really? Who was Zwarte Piet really? Let's get into it, y'all. Let's get into it. So I went online, right? Because in the age of information, ignorance is a choice. I went online and I said, explain the tradition known as Zwarte Piet. Zwarte Piet. Everybody, moderators, if you could do me a favor, write this down in the comment section, okay? Zwarte Piet. It's spelled like this. Z W A R T E, Zwarte Piet, P-I-E-T, Zwarte Piet. Yes, Black Pete. We're going to talk about it today. So online it says this, quote, the tradition is in question is Zwarte Piet, also known as Black Pete, the controversial assistant, aka slave, assistant to Saint Nicholas, aka Sinterklaas, in the annual Dutch, aka Netherlands, Belgian Sinterklaas celebration. The festival takes place on the evening of December the 5th in the Netherlands and in the morning of December the 6th in Belgium. So you got it in Belgium and Netherlands, December 5th, December 6th. In America, it's what day? Write it in the chat. What day they celebrate Christmas? What day do they celebrate Christmas in America? December 25th. December 25th. So they say that it's focusing on gift giving and treats for children. Let's find out if that's true. Let's find out if it's biblical. Because guess what? Jesus wasn't born December 25th and none of these Christians could figure it out. You telling me you going to church and you've been exposed to religion, but nobody in the Catholic Church, nobody in the Seventh-day Adventist Church, nobody can tell me where this comes from. Oh, but apparently the Dutch, they know where it comes from. They know the tradition. Let's get into it, y'all. Let's get into it. The traditional role and appearance. The companion to Sinterklaas, aka the slave, Zwarte Piet, or commonly known as multiple Python, aka the elves, accompanies Sinterklaas when he arrives by steamboat from Spain each mid-November. By steamboat. Hold on, wait a minute. Hold on a second. Can somebody explain to black folks, right? Were their ancestors on a yacht when they were dragged back and forth across the Atlantic, aka Western Ethiopic Ocean? Can somebody explain to black folks, were we on a yacht? Was it a speedboat? Was it a cruise liner? Can somebody explain for me, please? Was it a cruise? Were we taking a cruise getting dragged across the planet, across the East Indian Ocean, aka the East Ethiopic Ocean, or the Western Ethiopic Ocean, retitled to the Atlantic Ocean based on Atlantis? Yes, cargo ships, cargo ships, dhows. We wasn't going on a Carnival cruise liner, y'all. You understand? So, Zwarte Piet represents Black Pete with Santa Claus going on a steamboat from Spain, y'all. Can somebody tell the Christian that the origins of slavery started with the Catholic Church in Spain and Portugal? You understand? They go dummy in my comment section talking about there wasn't no slave. P-R-O Tecta. P-R-O Tecta. Please hit the guest icon. I just want to ask you a simple question. I just want you to let me turn off the flower notification thing here. This is the problem right now. You got melanated people that said that they never went into captivity. Please hit the guest icon. I just want to ask you a simple question. PR Protector. There's people already in my comment section says we wasn't no slave, wasn't no such thing as slaves. Okay, I'm just gonna ask an easy question. I'm gonna ask you an easy question. Please hit the guest icon and come up. I just want to ask you a simple question. Please hit the guest icon and come up. Don't be afraid. I don't bite. Don't be afraid. I don't bite. Feel free to come up. Hit the guest icon. I just sent you an invite. I just sent you an invite. Please feel free to come up. Are you there? Protector that made the comment, we wasn't no captives. Can you please feel free to hit the guest icon and come up? I just want to ask a simple question. Okay, apparently she doesn't want to come up. Okay, so we got commenters in the comment section that make blanket statements, but then they don't want to come up when we ask questions. Okay, so my question that I was going to pose to her was, right, crickets. My question for the 84 plus people in the room: if slavery never happened, we were never held as captives or prisoners of war, can somebody explain to me what year was the Emancipation Proclamation that was issued by President Abraham Lincoln? What year did that come out? What year was that? What year was that? Put it in the comment section, please. Because apparently we got a whole history of people held in bondage and people, thank you, 1863. 1863. So 1863 was when the proclamation came out. 1865 was Juneteenth, when they found out 2 years later in Texas that they were supposed to let the people go. You understand? In places like Brazil, it didn't end until 1888. In places like Saudi Arabia, it didn't end until the late 1960s. You understand? They didn't pass laws to ban it in places like Australia until like 2007, I think. Was it 2007 or 1997? Y'all, real late. You understand? It's still going on in Libya. It's still going on in Mauritania. It's still going on in Islamic countries right now. You understand? But specifically for the United States of America, 1863. So for the person that's talking about, oh, we was never held as captives, read a book, please. Please. If your only intelligence is social media and movies and magazines, please read a book. That's all I'm going to say on that. Let's get back to the topic. So we're talking about Zwarte Piet, who was the companion, aka slave, of Santa Claus, meaning old Nick, jolly old Saint Nick, right? Watch this. Old Nick literally means the devil or Satan. Santa Claus is European. Zwarte Piet is a black person. So who's the devil? Old Nick. Old Nick took Zwarte Piet as a captive. Interesting. The appearance, the traditional portrayal of Zwarte Piet, typically by a Eurocentric person in blackface makeup, hello, in blackface makeup, including a curly wig, aka an afro, large red lips, golden earrings, and colorful Renaissance era page boy costumes. Okay, we got a guest that wants to come up. Right, knows if you're naughty or nice. What the hell? I thought God knows if you're good or evil. All right, we got Copper Turtle that wants to come up. Welcome to the Forefront Radio, Copper Turtle. What's your question or comment? Copper Turtle, you there?
Research slave laws were still on the books in Mississippi.
All right. What year? What year, Copper? What year? Did you hear me? You there, brother? I was asking what year. Okay, I can't hear him. Can I get a couple of ones in the chat if the audio is good? Because apparently I can't hear him. I heard him mention slave laws on the books in Mississippi, so we can go into that briefly. Okay, we got one, so y'all can hear me. Okay, cool. Let's read about Mississippi codes, aka black codes, aka Slav codes. Treated enslaved people as property, severely restricted movement, requiring passes. Do y'all remember when y'all went to school? For those of you in the United States of America, do y'all remember when y'all went to school and you had to go to the bathroom? And what was the little piece of paper that your teacher had to write in order for you to be able to be allowed to go to the bathroom? What was that called? A hall pass. Correct. A hall pass. Did you know that a hall pass was based on these codes right here, where they said, hey, if you melanated, you need a permission slip to be able to go from this location to another location. Can I get a screenshot? Yeah, sure. Go ahead. I'm going to flip the camera. If you want to get a screenshot, go ahead. All right, go ahead. Take a screenshot. Zwarte Piet, Black Pete. If you want to take a screenshot, you got 30 seconds to take a screenshot right now. You understand? Zwarte Piet, Black Pete. For you dumb black folks that want to celebrate Christ Mass, this is your Christmas right here. You understand? All right. Somebody else want to come up? Run this 72. Run this 72. Run this. You're welcome. Nice AI picture. Yeah, AI got more sense than some of y'all out here, because I got to put up an AI thing to generate information and news so y'all can learn something new. Welcome to the Forefront Radio, Rhonda 72. What's your question or comment? Rhonda 72, you're on live. What's your question or comment? Orion Ruda says, so you ain't got no factual pictures? We got European people asking me, do I have factual pictures about something that they ancestors have been doing for centuries? What the hell? What the hell you talk about? You got Google, look it up. What the hell? You look up Zwarte Piet yourself. We already put it in the comment section. Look up on the comments and then copy and paste the name, Zwarte Piet. Then you just call me European. I'm looking for, I see a European face on your profile picture. If you're not European, oh my bad. It says Orion Rudis, whatever. Yes, Zwarte Piet is a historical figure. It's history we're going over. We're not going over emotions. We're not going over what you feel. We're trying to show you the parallels between what God says not to do in the Bible and this thing called Christ Mass. You understand? Okay, so let's get into the history. So this man Zwarte Piet, aka Black Pete, is represented by a Eurocentric person dressed in blackface, a caricature, a mockery of melanated people. And you have right now on December 25th, people getting prepared for this so-called holiday called Christmas. And when you ask them who's Zwarte Piet, all of a sudden people confused. All of a sudden people lost in the source. Zwarte Piet? I never heard of no damn Zwarte Piet. What the hell are you talking about? Zwarte Piet is the tradition found in the Netherlands where Santa's little elves is actually captives, people that were held in bondage. You understand? So nobody that has good sense would be like, yo, we should celebrate this thing. It's jovial. We do it for the kids. It's so festive and I feel so happy and free and I get to fa la 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 la. Yeah, right. Yeah, the hell right. Same thing with Willy Wonka. See, there you go. Same thing with Willy Wonka and the Oompa Loompas. Y'all know y'all was singing that song as a kid. Oompa Loompa dooba dee doo. Those were slaves, damn it. Those was captives. What the hell? The Oompa Loompa was the captives. Santa Little Elves was the captives. Willy Wonka was a slave trader in the chocolate factory. What the hell? Damn. Yo, I can't with y'all. I can't. They want me to celebrate Christmas, and we got all of this going on. Blackface all over the place. People dressing up with big red lips, blackface, curly wigs. Y'all, don't ever let me go to the Netherlands, bro. We fighting, bro. We knuckling up. We going to the Netherlands. We punching everybody in the damn face. The hell with that. I'm just playing, y'all. I'm just playing. If you're from the Netherlands, I'm just joking. All right. Forefront, be sarcastic on here. Anthony Dowdy, want to come? All right. Right. The Dutch all over the Netherlands talking about we ain't doing nothing. You can't make this stuff up. Bunch of liars. Welcome to the Forefront Radio. What's your question and comment? Welcome to the Forefront Radio. What's your question or comment? What's going on? Y'all, we got like 3 guests that came up and nobody's saying nothing. Am I being trolled right now, y'all? I'm trying to cover a class and guests coming up and they ain't saying nothing. What's going on here? What's going on, y'all? If you're gonna come up on the platform, please be prepared to speak. If you're not ready to speak, just sit in the audience and learn. Please don't waste other people's times, y'all. Please do me a huge favor. Don't waste people's time, okay? We're talking about Zwarte Piet right now, all right? And we're going into the history of Zwarte Piet, all right? That's what we're talking about right now. Welcome to the Forefront Radio. What's your question or comment? Welcome to the Forefront Radio. What's your question or comment?
Can you hear me?
There we go. Go ahead.
Shalom. No, I'm just coming through to show some love, run your numbers up.
Appreciate that.
The Dutch, they was originally Negro. A lot of people don't know the original Dutch. That's why they became Danish, that ISH, because they were the group that actually conquered the Dutch lands that came from the Khazarians. When they took Poland, they took Germany, they took Switzerland, i.e. the Dutch lands, Spain, and worked their way all the way to what we know today as England. They went after all of the black noble families and either intermarried in them or waged war and just dethroned them.
I'm glad that you said that because thank you. I'm glad that you said that because the proof of that, right, is the word Swartz, right? Switzerland, right? The word swarthy is black, swarthy. So I laugh every time I see Schwarzenegger. Swartz means black.
Right. He
Negros means
niggas,
black.
right?
So his name is Arnold Black. What the hell?
Black.
Yo, his name Arnold Black. Come on now. So we know, yeah, of course, them folks right there used to be melanated until we got deported out, like deportations happening right now. So appreciate the comment, brother. We're gonna continue with our class.
All right, salute. I'm gonna just run your numbers up. I'm gonna drop down.
You. All right. Good comment, y'all. Good comment. It's good to know the history. A lot of people don't know the history, y'all. A lot of people, for example, the term dub, like Dublin, the word dub literally means black. Dublin, Ireland, dub. That's why black folks are like, yo, let me get a dub. Let me get that $20. We called it a dub. What the hell? Y'all, there's a lot of stuff people just don't know. So Zwarte Piet climbs down chimneys now, delivers presents to well-behaved children's shoes. Older, more fearsome folklore suggested Zwarte Piet would punish naughty children with a birch rod or put them in a sack and take them to Spain. This is some history a lot of folks don't know, y'all. This is some history a lot of us don't know. Now, what are the origins of Zwarte Piet? The modern figure was solidified in 1850 in a children's book by John Sheinkman. The character's origins are debated and linked to some roots as this. Number one, pre-Christian European folklores like the Norse god Odin and his companions, or chained demons. So Odin had the long beard, right? And he had chained demons. Then the second origin story is Moorish servants, aka Slavs, aka captives. There were black folks that was ruling all over Europe. And during the Reconquista, many Europeans that are this right here took the melanated ones and kicked them out. Guess what? The Portuguese called them negros. And many of them had names like Yaya bin Yaya, negros. These were Jews, y'all. These were Israelites, y'all. These were ancient Hebrews that they retitled to negros. More comes from the term Maury, like Mauritania, which means black, land of the blacks. And we're going to get into some more history in a little bit, y'all. So in recent decades, the traditional depiction of Zwarte Piet has become highly controversial due to the strong association with stereotypes and the history of our ancestors being held as captives. Now, does the Bible talk about the children of Israel being held as captives on boats, sailing across the ocean in different areas? Let's find out. Let's go to the book of Job. Let's go to the book of Job, chapter 9. Job chapter 9, verse 24. Listen close, folks. Your Christian pastor is not going to teach you this. Take notes, write it down, because they think, oh, forefront, you only got Deuteronomy 28. No, we got way more than that. Watch this. Job chapter 9, verse 24. Listen close. Job chapter 9, verse 24. It says, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Who's ruling over the Vatican? The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Who's ruling the United States? The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Who is the highest military officers all across the planet? The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Who's ruling over Wall Street? I'm just asking questions. The Bible says the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covers the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? Who covered the face of Jesus Christ to make Jesus Christ look like a blonde-haired, blue-eyed, chilling while you're sinning kind of guy? Who did that? The vat of sin. The vat of sin. Yeah, who rules over NATO? I don't see no black folks ruling over NATO telling them what to do. I don't see that. What's going on here? What's going on here? So the Bible says the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges, meaning what? Why he washed them? Why he washed them? Meaning what? He took the images of the Bible and made them all Eurocentric. All of them. You think of Moses, you think in a Charleston Heston 10 Commandments movie. Right? Right? When you think of Jesus, you think The Passion of the Christ by Mel Gibson. Covered the faces of the judge. Who's the ultimate judge? The Israelites. They're the judges of the earth. Solomon, in his own writings, was described as black and handsome, black and comely. Who covered his face? Is that he a blonde hair, blue eyed, chilling while you're sitting kind of guy? They gave us all Eurocentric heroes. Superman, played by a European. Batman, played by a European. Spider-Man, played by a European. But they're the smallest demographic on the earth. I'm trying to figure out where the black superheroes at. We're going to give y'all some crumbs. You can have Shazam. What the hell? He covered the faces of the judges thereof. Right, Superman is saying. Watch this. If not, where and who is he? If it's not them folks, who is it? Who's ruling the Vatican? Who's ruling the World Bank? Who's ruling the stock exchange in New York? Who's ruling the International Monetary Fund? Who's ruling the World Economic Forum? I'm just asking questions. I'm not giving any answers. I'm just asking questions. Who covered the faces of the people of the Bible to not look like people from Africa and people from the Americas, the Aboriginal people, the melanated people? Who did that? I'm just asking questions. Verse 26, they are passed away as the swift ships, as the swift ships, as the swift ships, as the eagle that hasteth to the prey. Wait a minute. So there was a nation represented as the eagle, and this nation represented as the eagle took human beings across the earth on ships. On ships. And we ain't talking about a cruise liner. We ain't talking about a speedboat. We ain't talking about a canoe. We ain't talking about kayaking. Somebody had cargo, and on that cargo, there was people on the ships. And we ain't talking about Royal Caribbean Cruise Line neither. So let's read the quote again. Listen close. Listen close. Listen close to the quote. It says, the companion of Santa Claus, Zwarte Piet, aka Black Pete, or more commonly multiplied Python, aka Santa's elves, accompanies Santa Claus, weird name, Santa Claus. So Santa Claus is really the man of sin that the Bible talks about, aka the Antichrist system, the man of sin. Yeah. When you look at them folks, understand the Antichrist is right in front of your face every day, hugging and kissing on everybody in the White House. I'm telling you straight. Watch this. It says Santa Claus, when he arrives by steamboat from Spain each November. Wait a minute. Black Pete taking on a boat? Santa Claus taking them all the way from Spain and scattered them all over the planet. What was the major institution that started the slave trade and called us negros, which is a Spanish word? Spain, Portugal. Hello. Negros, morenos, blackie. Zwarte Piet. Zwarte Piet. Black Pete was taken on a ship. Hello. We're reading the Bible and we're giving you parallels. That's what we're doing here. We're helping you to put your critical thinking hats on. This is all you have to do. Open up your mind. Open up your mind. Think about this thing. The origin story is black slaves, Moorish servants, or enslaved people depicted by the Dutch during the colonial era. Y'all understand that? Here's why it's controversial. In recent decades, the tradition of Zwarte Piet being depicted as Black Pete has become highly controversial due to the strong association with stereotypes. Meaning what? In America, they had the whole Jim Crow saga, right? They were dressing up in Blackface. They were singing and dancing and jerking and jiving and do. They was mocking black folks, right? That was the 1940s, 50s, 60s, right? But guess what? 100 years prior, they were doing that in the 1850s already. You understand? They were doing that in the 1850s already. You understand? So from the 1850s all the way to the 1950s, them folks was already dressing up in blackface. You understand? So we don't celebrate Christ's Mass. Do you know why? It has nothing to do with the Messiah. Nothing whatsoever. It's a disrespectful holiday. So there's stereotypes against black people. There's a history of captivity against black people, and we could read it in the Bible. Watch this, watch this, watch this. Deuteronomy chapter 28. Let me show it to you. Deuteronomy chapter 28. Let's start at verse 15. The Most High said to our ancestors this. It says, but it shall come to pass, meaning it will happen in the future. Somebody said this is a reach. Okay, we're going to reach out and touch your brain right now and show you that the Bible is black history. I just want 5 minutes of your time, and I'm going to prove to you in less than 5 minutes that the Bible is black history. Watch this. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15. Your pastor ain't never going to read this to you in church, so you better listen close. You understand? Sis said, reach out and touch me. We're going to reach out in your brain, and we're going to show you the truth. Watch this. But it shall come to pass, meaning it will happen in the future. If thou will not hearken, meaning listen unto the voice of the Lord thy God, the voice of God is this Bible, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God, that the Lord shall set these curses upon thee and overtake thee. Let's read it again. It says, if you will not hearken, meaning listen to the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments. The true religion is not Christianity. Jesus was never a Christian. Hello. Jesus was not a Christian. He was a Hebrew. He was an Israelite from the tribe of Judah. His mama was from the tribe of Levi. His cousin was from the tribe of Levi, John the Baptist. Paul was from the tribe of Benjamin. Peter was from the tribe of Judah. Moses was from the tribe of Levi. They forget this. Y'all, Moses was not Catholic. Y'all do realize that, right? Watch this. It says, his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Now listen close. What was a generational curse that we could read in the Bible, and we could do a process of elimination to know this did not happen to Polish people that converted to a religion that started in Africa? Let's find out. Verse 42. Verse 41. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, meaning you're going to raise up sons and daughters. But thou shalt not enjoy them. But thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. What does the Bible say? Into captivity. What does the Bible say? Into captivity. So the Bible says that the children of Israel all across the world will be sold into captivity. What's another word for captivity? Slavery. That's right. What group of people went into captivity in all nations? From the Kanakas of, or the Aboriginal Kanakas of Australia, the Aboriginal of Tanzania and Papua New Guinea, to the shores of West Africa, Central Africa, East Africa, to the Aboriginal of America, the native indigenous population, the copper colored people in Americas that were taken as captives all over the planet, or the Caribbean islanders that they reclassified the West Indios. Who is that? Who is this talking about? Y'all, let's do a process of elimination. Jewish people that converted to a religion called Judaism. Did they ever go into slavery in all nations, right? Y for yes, right? N for no. Polish people that converted to a religion, did they ever go all the way to Saudi Arabia as captives? Did they ever go all the way to Europe as captives? Did they ever get taken to Brazil as captives? What about Australia? What about New Zealand? Did they get dragged across the planet as captives? No. But they say they you wish, right? They say they fit the Bible. We're reading the Bible. We're reading the Bible. What about Germanic people that converted to a religion that started in Africa? Did they ever go into captivity? I'm trying to figure that. World War II, did they ever get taken all the way to the Caribbean islands or the 13 colonies or Nova Scotia or Australia as captives? They say they the real Hebrews. I'm reading the Bible about the real Hebrews, y'all. Do you see how easy the Bible is? Do you see how easy the Bible is? Just ask questions. Just ask questions. That's all you got to do. Just ask questions. Watch this, watch this. Verse 48, therefore thou shalt serve thy enemies. Not everybody is your friend, which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. You want a college degree? You got to go to your enemy. You want toilet paper? You got to go to your enemy. You want to brush your teeth? You got to go to your enemy. The proof of that is right now I'm in an African country called Malawi, and I go to the store to buy some toothpaste, and it's not an African manufacturer of toothpaste. Do you know what the toothpaste is called? Colgate. Colgate. Where is Colgate manufactured? All the way in the United States of America. Black folks aren't in control of brushing their own teeth in their own African country. What the hell? The toilet tissue comes from Europeans. The soap comes from Europeans. Brushing your teeth comes from Europeans. What the hell? What is going on here? Why is Colgate over here? You understand? Right. The alleged situation that happened with the people that call themselves you wish, they failed to tell you that guess what? It happened in 1903 with black folks in Namibia. Did y'all know that? The testing grounds of that whole Germanic situation where Europeans were fighting against each other, World War I, World War II, and a bunch of Europeans got caught up and they got, all messed up because of it, and they always want to traumatize us and tell us, oh, you got to focus on our oppression instead of y'all oppression. They practiced it on Namibia first. First, it happened in Namibia, in Africa. You understand? How long did the Barbary captivity trade go on? I don't know. Why don't you Google it? You got smartphones. You could Google it. I know it went for quite some time, though. We could do a class on that as well if you want to. But we're not talking about European people from Slavs that were taken by the Arabs and the Ottoman Turks as prisoners of war. We're talking about a global trade system. A global trade system. That's what we're talking about. You talking about you want me to focus on the little one or two European folks that was taken as captives, right? Instead of a global system, the Middle East slave trade, the Transatlantic slave trade, the Pacific Island slave trade. You want me to forget all of that? The East Africa, Sub-Saharan, you want me to forget all of that? The Arabs holding our people in captivity in Islamic countries right now. You want me to forget about that? But you want me to talk about a couple of European folks that was having a tissy fit and they got held as captives? No, we're talking about a global system, y'all. A global system where every nation on the planet held a specific demographic as captives. And guess what? We're going to cover the history of who did it. Let's do that, y'all. Let's cover some history, y'all. Let's cover some history. So, European folklore presents St. Nicholas as a benevolent gift giver. But history reveals something else. A symbol repurposed by the church to sanctify conquest. To do what? To sanctify conquest. What do we talk about when we talk about the 3 C's? The 3 C's are capitalism, colonialism, and captivity. One can't go without the other. Without captivity, there would be no such thing as capitalism. Without colonialism, there would be no such thing as capitalism. You understand? Yeah, we'll get to those scriptures in a moment. I just want to cover the history before we go in depth with scriptures. We're going to go in depth, y'all. We have to go in depth. TMFKA wants to come up. Okay. Welcome to the Forefront Radio. What's your question or comment?
That was a total accident.
6:30 on the West Coast, but I appreciate your information. I'm learning a lot. Keep it up. Thank you, bro.
All praises to the Most High. All glory and honor to the Father above. Thank y'all so much. If you haven't followed the Forefront Radio, take a moment to follow this account. If you want to donate to our efforts to teach here or throughout the continent of Africa, hit us up on Cash App, APHIELLEVI. We got another guest that wants to come up. Welcome to the Forefront Radio. What's your question or comment?
Okay, so there's a lot I agree with that you're saying, even though I'm kind of trolling you a little bit, but I like that.
Come on, now. We're teaching a class. You gonna try to troll me, or you gonna try to learn some information?
Not in a bad way. Not in a bad way. No, but I just can't get past the thing. Well, how because I'm actually a Mexican Native American mix from Arizona, from the border area. I can't understand how my white friends that I was in the military with, and I was a lot of black folks and Mexicans and everything. How I can just look at them and say, well, you're not going to heaven there, white guy with blonde hair and blue eyes, because, only us are going to go in UFOs and go to Jerusalem. I just can't get past that. That's a stretch, Can
I ask you a question? You a question?
Yeah.
Okay, so since we've been having a historical discussion based on history, did you hear me mention anything about religion as far as who's going to heaven, who's going to hell, or are we just talking about the history of Zwarte Piet?
No, but I know you're a black Hebrew Israelite, and I know your guys' foundations, I guess. That's basically what it comes down
to. So, okay, you just met my platform today. You just came on the platform today, and you're asking me, what about European people? So now here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to a MAGA rally. And while you're at the MAGA rally, I want you to go to walk on stage, and in front of 100 people plus or more, ask them, what about black people? What about Mexican people? You was in the military. I used to be a military contractor for military hospitals. We know how military folks talk about our communities. We know how they talk about Mexicans. We know how they talk about black folks. Is it favorable?
Is the stereotype wrong that there's no black fathers and blacks kill blacks, and we like to say, well, this white cop. I'm actually a police officer, retired.
Exactly.
But who killed more black people?
They like to perpetuate conversation.
That's a fact.
I'm sorry. Wait. They put more focus. They put more focus on hypothetical and inconsequential information that doesn't even impact their community at all. You understand? They will live in the suburbs of America, in Nebraska somewhere, and have anecdotal conversations about gangbangers in New York and Chicago just to have a talking point. It's illogical. Guess what? We don't focus on them as much as they focus on us. Guess what? Sometimes we just want to be left the hell alone. You understand? So don't get me wrong. I got friends that's in law enforcement. I got relatives in law enforcement. We have no problem with people having conversations about the ills of America and what's going on in society. But when they make it a talking point to focus on it all the time, it's deeper than rap. It's deeper than that. There's something pervasive in the mind where they say we have to constantly demonize and victimize and mistreat a particular demographic, lay them as the scum of the earth all over the planet, and then say, hey, we didn't do nothing to y'all. Y'all deserve it. Y'all are some criminals. We're going to change y'all from being captives to criminals. That's what they did to Mexicans. That's what they did to Native Indigenous populations. And that's what they did to black folks.
You kind of went off to ignore my question. No, that's a red herring. What you're doing. What you're not answering.
Your question was, is European people going to heaven, correct?
Hold on. But answer this.
That was your question. Was your question, is European people going to heaven, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
What was my response?
But okay, so here's the thing that you're not answering. working the streets here. Yes, Mexicans did shoot Mexicans.
What was
Hold
my
on, let me
response
finish.
to your question?
I
Listen,
don't
what was my
see
response to your question?
how you're trying to make it seem like it's not a big deal that blacks don't want to worry about, blacks
We
killing
don't worry
blacks
about
in
European
the
people.
city, or
We don't
like
worry about European
myself, where I
people.
work here in Tucson, Arizona.
Uh-huh.
It is Mexicans that shoot Mexicans on the streets. When I worked the north side of Tucson,
That's true.
I don't see whites killing whites in the richer area. They do have their own problem. Not that saying they're
Okay.
perfect, but
Let me ask you this question.
Hold on. I let you finish. When I went to a
This is my
household,
platform. What do you mean you let me? I'm going to say what I want to say on my platform.
Then cut me off. I mean,
Let me ask you a question. Since we're focused on Mexican crime, black on black crime, and stuff like that, I just want to ask you a question, right?
Yeah.
When we have conversations about people going around with super soakers, you know what I mean when I say super soakers? Certain things you can't say on TikTok, right? Like Dylan Roof, like the New Jersey Papa, the person that went to Peyton Gendry that went to Top's grocery store, right? When we talk about these types of conversation, what's the primary demographic of people that practice these types of situations of unaliving masses of people, more than 10, more than 20, 75, stuff like that?
Those white people, I think a lot of those are influenced mentally by the CIA through an operation that they had in the 60s that you can research, and it's trying to get the guns off the streets, off of us as good Americans. That's...
Are you saying that in the capacity of a police officer, or are you saying that in the capacity of just your personal opinion or viewpoint?
That's my personal opinion. Like those mass shooters, they tend to be white. They tend to be isolated people that I think the government is doing a psyop and trying to get guns off the streets, take them away from us.
That's interesting. That's an interesting perspective. Okay, thank you for sharing your thoughts on
that.
that.
No, I'm gonna follow you, and I like to listen to you guys, but appreciate your time.
No problem. I appreciate your time as well. We having conversations by the Bible, and we being watched by the Popo. We having conversations about the Bible, and we getting watched by the Popo. You can't make this stuff up. Help me help you. Help me help you, forefront. I just want to talk to you, have a conversation with you. I want to lead you down the rabbit hole so you can talk bad about European people. We don't give a damn. We don't give a damn about nobody. We care about the Bible. We care about history. We care about prophecy. We don't care about emotions or feelings. So let's get right back into history. Sometimes you feel like somebody's watching me. Hey, I appreciate the free advertisement. Police Department in Tucson, Arizona. Shout out to them. Hey, how you doing? All right, let's get right into it, y'all. Nicholas of Myra lived under Roman authority. An entire empire was built on enslavement. Over centuries, his image was militarized by Catholic Europe. The saint was no longer a bishop of charity, but a Christian conqueror. Often depicted with a sword, subduing pagans, aka Moors, like Morenos. What's your insight on Islam? Islam was another institution established by Eurocentrics, Ottoman Turks, as well as Ishmaelite Arabs to push a narrative to deviate from the Bible and get us to worship them as deity. Just like Christianity was formed for us to worship Eurocentrics, Islam is another facet of that same branch. Deviate from the Bible, worship Arabic culture, Arabic customs, Arabic food things. No melanated person should be involved with Islam. The two major religions that held us in captivity is the Ishmaelite Arabs and the Eurocentric Christianity. But we follow the Bible around here from an Afro-Hebraic perspective. That's the difference. We view the Bible not as religion, but as our cultural practice. The Bible is our constitution, how we live, what we eat, what we wear, how we conduct ourselves. You understand? Okay. Let's get back right into the history. So this is where the sword of Pete matters. Pete is not just a helper, he is defeated an enslaved figure, darkened, mocked, and made subservient. Zwarte Piet did not come from chimney soot, y'all. They want to revise it and say, okay, we're not going to call it Zwarte Piet anymore. We're not going to call it Black Pete anymore. We're gonna call him Chimney Pete. The black face is from him coming down the chimney with Santa Claus. Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. They think people stupid out here. So Santa Claus don't come with blackface, but Zwarte Piet went down the chimney and came out black. Come on, we're gonna call him Chimney Pete now. That's what's going on. Revisionist nonsense. The history of Zwarte Piet is built on the memory of Europe's enslavement of the Aboriginals in America and enslaved Africans and conquered people. That's where it comes from. You can't rebrand wickedness and call it good, y'all. You can't rebrand it as folklore so children can feel comfortable and conditioned early to accept it. Blackface is not accidental, it's historical. Right, it's a form of syncretism. Try to mix and match and make it comfortable for everybody to participate in. Somebody explain to me how blackface is important for people to love, enjoy, and hug one another, and then they switch it and say, let's not make them black anymore. Let's make them a green elf. Santa's little elves. Fa la 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 la. Y'all, this has nothing to do with us, y'all. Watch this. Every December in the Netherlands and all across Europe, Black Pete appears with exaggerated lips, curly wigs, broken speech, and clownish behavior. The origins of the clowns in America come from them making fun of melanated people. The original clowns was all black with the big lips and the big nose and the afro hair. They said, all right, let's just paint his face white and then make him with the curly afro. Let's make him look like Ronald McDonald here. Let's make him look like Ronald McDonald. It's the same thing, y'all. This is not harmless tradition. It's ritualized humiliation. It's ritualized humiliation. Somebody said prove it. Okay, let's prove it in the Bible. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 37. Watch this. I'm going to prove in the Bible how the people of the Bible will be ridiculed and humiliated by the people of the earth. Watch this. Deuteronomy 28, verse 37. I'm about to prove it. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee. Let's get into some history. Watch this. Land of the Blacks, provided by frontrad.com. The inhabitants of the northern shores of the Mediterranean have made Africa the home of many of their undying, enduring myths. To begin with, there's an exhaustive list where there is the setting for some of the labors of Hercules, the mountains of the moon, or the kingdom of Prester John, and the habitat of unicorns. All of this stuff they laid on Africa. They say a bunch of unicorns came from Africa. The kingdom of Prester John came from Africa. That's what they do. Watch this. Unaware of or ignorant of the fact that human species had its dawn, meaning the Garden of Eden, in Africa, and from there spread across the planet, Europeans have consistently considered the African continent since the time of the Greek and Roman invasions as the land of absolute otherness. Meaning what? A proverb and a byword. Let's call them terms that we call today, quote unquote, tropes. Watch this. Especially in terms of skin color. Here's an example. It is no coincidence that it's labeled the Black Continent, BLK continent. That's a color in a crayon box, y'all. There's tribes, there's families, there's nations, there's kingdoms. All of these people, all in this area, and they say, well, let's just call it a Black continent. Land of the Blacks. Negros de Guinea, Negros de la Tierra. Watch this, watch this. Watch this. Furthermore, anthropology has been quite slow to establish that the notions of race and ethnicity are human constructs, meaning make-believe. Make-believe. It's all in their heads. Classifying human beings as colors in the crayon boxes in their heads. This one we're going to call yellow. This one we're going to call pink. This one we're going to call BLK. This one we're going to call brown. And us, we're the pure ones. We're going to call ourselves white. But nothing about them is pure. Nothing about them is righteous. Nothing about what they do on the earth is holy and just and good. But they say we're going to have the top color. We're going to call ourselves undocumented paper. Undocumented paper. You can't make this stuff up. That's what they call themselves today. Out of everybody, they're going to call themselves that. And everybody else is a color in a crayon box compared to their social construct. Melanated people have been subject to scientific criticism and have become largely obsolete. In this lexicograph, we will take a journey through the history, through the different names of lands and recently received names of people of melanated skin and attributed to their inhabitants. For example, Africa has 4 great rivers: the Nile River, the Congo River, the Zambezi River, and the Niger River. Now, guess what? When you read the Bible talks about the Hebrews being known as what? Niger. Let's read it in the Bible. Watch this. Watch this. Let's go to Acts chapter 13. Let's go to Acts chapter 13. Acts chapter 13, verse 1. It says, now there were in the church, what was the church? The Israelites, the Hebrew people. That was the early church. Now there were in the church that was at Antioch certain prophets and teachers. Who were the prophets? Israelites. Like King David was a prophet. Like Samuel was a prophet. Like Solomon was a prophet. Moses was a prophet, right? Certain prophets and teachers, meaning what? Direct disciples of the Messiah. When it says teachers, that means they're direct disciples like Peter, Paul, John, right? Watch this. Watch this. As Barnabas, that's the right-hand man of Paul. Barnabas was named Joseph Barnabas, or Josiah Barnabas, or Yeshaya Barnabas, son of Nabba. Son of Abba, Barnabas. So Josiah, Barnabas, and Simeon, hold up, there's a whole tribe called the tribe of Simeon of the 12 tribes of Israel. Watch this. That was called Niger. That was called Niger. That was called Niger. That was called Niger. Hold up, wait a minute. Hold on a second. They retitled us from being Hebrews, and they called us the River Niger. They called us Nigerian. They called us Negros or Niger. Arnold Schwartz, black. Schwarzenegger. Arnold Schwarzenegger, black. Hello. We're reading the Bible. Wait, tell me your Christian pastor never read that in church. You telling me the Christian pastor never read that in church? That the direct disciples of Jesus Christ were called Niger? That Peter, Paul, James, John was Niger? That Simeon, Judah, Benjamin, Levi were Niger? Not Middle Eastern, Niger. Not olive complexion, Niger. Not Mediterranean, Niger. Like the River Niger, like Nigeria. This shows you how we can prove how our demographic was changed to a color in the crayon box. Because somebody said, Forefront, prove it. Do you have a YouTube channel? Yeah, subscribe to us on YouTube. The Forefront Radio 2.0 on YouTube. The Forefront Radio 2.0 on YouTube. That's why we tell people in the age of information, ignorance is a choice. You mean to tell me you was exposed to church and they never read that? That Jesus is black? So wait a minute. If the whole tribe is called Niger, that means Jesus is Niger. Like Nigeria, like Negros, Morenos, blacky. Yeah. That's in the Bible, y'all. You telling me you heard that in church and they just skipped over it? They just skipped over that lesson. That was not taught in Sunday school whatsoever. They said, skip this verse right here. We do not want them to read that in the Bible. It says that prophets and teachers like Barnabas and Simeon were called Niger. What the heck? What the heck is that? Like Nigeria. Let's go back to the article. Africa has 4 great rivers: the Nile, the Congo, the Zambezi, and the Niger. This river took its name, European of course, from one Latin word which means black. There is a country called Nigeria, another country called Niger. Both are watered by the same name, the same river and the same name. Both countries are lands of melanated people, referring to the skin color of the inhabitants, whom they often held as captives, aka Slavs. The Arabs called the land south of the Sahara Desert Bilad al-Sudan, Bilad al-Sudan, Bilad al-Sudan, the land of the blacks. Furthermore, Arab geographers and sailors called the populations of the African coast and of the Indian Ocean Zanj. 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 Now, the French word Zanj means angels. The French term Zanj mean angels. So they enslave the Zanj of God, the angels of God. The children of Israel, God's chosen people, that's who they held as captives, y'all. That's who they held as captives, y'all. And we can read it in the Bible. Let's read it in the Bible. Luke chapter 21, verse 24. Luke chapter 21, verse 24. Tap the screen, get the likes up, share the room with at least 10 people. It says, and they, referring to the Israelites, shall fall by the edge of the sword and shall be led away captive, captive, captive into all nations, into all nations, into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Meaning what? The people in Jerusalem right now are Gentiles, folks. The real Hebrews were taken as captives into all nations. That ain't happened to Polish people. That ain't happened to Germanic people. That ain't happened to Ukrainians. That ain't happened to anybody that converted to something called Judaism. It happened to melanated people. And their titles were changed. They were renamed, reclassified into BLK, colors in the crayon box, River Niger, Nigerian, Ghanaian, Malawian, South African, Papua New Guinean, Aboriginal, Negros, Indios, Morenos, Blackie, African American, Niger, colored, people of color. Watch this. Let's go to the book of Psalms, chapter 44. Watch this. We're going to prove how we was renamed, y'all. It's in the book. It's in the Bible. You mean to tell me they skipped this in Sunday school? Okay, let's find out. Psalm chapter 44. Psalm chapter 44. Let's start at verse 8. In God we boast all the day. Why? Because the Most High is real. And this Bible is a true book. In God we boast all the day long. And praise thy name forever, Selah. And praise thy name forever, Selah. We give all praises to the Most High that the prophecies reveal the truth. Listen close. But thou hast cast us off and put us to shame, and goes not forth with our armies. Meaning what? We had a military force before these nations was overrunning us, y'all. Most nations have a military force, but when you examine places like Haiti, we ain't got no strong military. What happened? When you examine places like Congo, we ain't got no strong military. What happened? When you examine places like Malawi, we ain't got no strong military. What happened? Places like Jamaica, same thing. The United States of America, do black folks in America got their own military? No. Do the captives that were taken and held as prisoners in Brazil, do they have their own military? No. What about the people in Sudan that's being impacted negatively? Do they have a military? No. People running through their nations doing whatever the hell they want. Why? Because divine protection was taken away due to disobedience. Correct. Prisoners of war. Watch this. Verse 10. Thou makest us to turn back from the enemy. The French, the Dutch, Spain, Portugal, France, the Ishmaelite Arabs, the Ottoman Turks, Greece, Rome, Persia, Babylon, the Assyrians. It says, thou makest us to turn back from the enemy, and they which hate us spoil for themselves. Y'all, the Bible is saying that the real Israelites, those that don't have their best interests at heart, would spoil them, depopulate them, deport them, mess with them, hold them into oppression, hold them into captivity, reclassify them, do whatever the hell they feel like doing. We're reading the Bible. This is in every Bible. Watch this. Thou hast given us like sheep appointed for meat, and has scattered us among the heathen, and has scattered us among the heathen. Yo, there's entire maps of the Silk Road. And in the Silk Road, you could see from Shandong, China, all the way to Dublin, Ireland, the routes where they would take slaves, stupas, silks, ebony, ivory from Africa, from the Middle East, and displace it into different areas along the Silk Road trade routes. Same maps that they use for various sites where they exported gold, silver, diamonds, elephant tusks that they called ivory, and dispersed it all from the deep interiors of Africa, all the way up north to Europe, to Saudi Arabia, to Oman. You understand? To Iran, to Iraq, and all of these areas that got major empires. The Persians are not getting away with what they did, y'all. The Greeks, the Romans, Spain, Italy, France, they not getting away, y'all. This is documented in the greatest history book known to mankind. What group of people were scattered into all nations? That ain't European folks. I'm sorry, not sorry. That ain't Chinese folks. I'm sorry, not sorry. That ain't Ishmaelite Arabs. I'm sorry, not sorry. That ain't happened to them. If it did, then you would have tons of information pertaining to Chinese people taken from China and brought all the way to the Caribbean islands as captives. It ain't never happened to them. Never. Never. Now, you had indentured servants. Okay, and you had indentured service with Europeans. Okay, and what we're reading here is a global trade system. Watch this, watch this, watch this. Thou sellest thy people for naught. Thou sellest thy people for naught. Meaning you sold your people on auctions for barely nothing. They was buying and selling melanated folks all across the world for things like sugar cane. We're gonna trade you this sugar cane for these melanated folks to come work for us on the agricultural sector. For nothing, for pennies, for crumbs, y'all. I'll give you an example. The former president of Malawi took 60 plus million from the blue and white flag folks to get a bunch of their people to go all the way to that region, Jordan, Syria, Israeli, that place, right? And make them work in the agricultural sector. You mean to tell me they didn't get no doctors, no lawyers? They just want to get people to work in the agricultural sector? $60 million. That ain't nothing. That's chump change. When it comes to governments, that's like a pittance. That's like sneaker money. 60 million, that's sneaker money in government, in terms of government expenditures. We're reading in the Bible, thou sellest thy people for naught, and does not increase the wealth by their price. These are a group of people that were held as captives, y'all. Did that happen to Jewish people? No, not at all. But they want to lay claim to the book. Whenever we talk about the Bible being Black history, all of a sudden people confused. They're like, no, forefront, it ain't talking about you. You weren't reclassified to Zonj, Niger, Nigerian, Bilal Sudan, Negros, Morenos. You wasn't retitled none of this stuff. Yes, we were. Watch this. Watch this. Thou makest us a reproach to our neighbors, a scorn and a derision to them that are round about us. Meaning what? Just like the police officer that came on my live just now, and we having a conversation about Black history We having a conversation about various things impacting our community, and he wanted to say, what about black on black crime? What about Mexican on Mexican crime? I'm like, hold up, wait a minute, you fit in biblical prophecy. The Bible says that thou makest us a reproach to our neighbors, meaning every nation that's around us speaks ill of us, a scorn and a derision to them that are round about us. Y'all, you go to China, they got a derogatory term for black folks, they call it zhangji. You go to Arab countries, they call you abid, they call you Bilal Sudan, right? You go to Europe, they call you negros. You go to Spanish countries, they call you morenos, indios, aboriginal. Y'all, do you know how disrespectful it is to call people aboriginal? Okay, let's use some common sense. Abnormal. The word ab means without. So without normality, abnormal. When you call a group of people aboriginal, that means without origin. We don't know where you come from. You just a color in a crayon box. We're going to call you BLK. This is in the Bible, y'all. This is in the Bible. This is in the Bible. Let's continue with the article. Quote, both countries are lands of black people, referring to the skin color of the inhabitants, whom they often enslaved. The Arabs called the land south of the Sahara Desert Bilal al-Sudan, the land of the blacks. Furthermore, Arab geographers and sailors called populations of the African coast of the Indian Ocean Zanj, like angels. Jordi Esteva has written a memorable book about the epic journey of the navigators. From the Greek word Zanj comes the name Tanzania or Tanganyika, Zanzibar, and Zanzibar, Zanjbar. You guessed it, the coast of the blacks. So you got a whole coast called the coast of the blacks. Since the Persian sailors who preceded the Arabs in exploring those lands bequeathed them this toponym along with their Zoroastrian temples. Furthermore, the Greek geographers called ancient Abyssinia Ethiopia. As we discussed in previous articles, Ethiopian is a toponym derived from the word Aethiops, which literally means burned face, or to burn, or ops face. You understand? Focusing on color is idolatry. Y'all, tell that to the people that think Jesus is European. Tell that to the people that think God is European. Tell that to the people that think angels are little puffy, little 1-year-old and 2-year-old puffy babies. Don't come on my comment section asking me why am I focusing on history. The truth does not fear investigation, only lies because of intimidation. Do you feel uncomfortable here? Why are you here? Go watch people play Call of Duty on TikTok. Go kick rocks, kick a boulder, walk around barefoot in the street. Listen, go outside, take a breath of fresh air, get off the phone, get off the internet. Go hug and kiss your family. Why are you here? I ain't chasing nobody. You landed on my page. I didn't land on your page. You came and scrolled here. But you felt so compelled to write in the comment section. Why are you so focused on color? It's idolatry. You didn't say that when we were sitting on the floors in your church, on the floor in your churches of men in Europe and in America, worshiping Eurocentric images. You didn't say that. You didn't say don't focus on color. You said Jesus was European with no Bible verse. You said God was European with no Bible verse. Now that we're talking about the history of how nations reclassified our people and we can document it and find that it's biblical prophecy, now we're focused on color? No, we're not. These nations took us as captives. These nations reclassified and retitled God's chosen people as Ethiops, Zanj, Negros, Morenos, Nigerian, Ghanaian, all of these fancy titles. So I'm reading history and you feel some type of way? I wouldn't stay somewhere where I was uncomfortable. I'll just keep scrolling. That's what I would do. If you like education and truth, this is the place for you. But if you don't like open discussions that will make you kind of jump out of your seat and say, hold up, we need to pay attention to this. They don't talk about this in history class. I never heard about this in American civics class. I never learned this in Black History Month. I never learned this when I was going to school in public school. So why can't we talk about history? What, history makes you uncomfortable? History makes you feel uncomfortable? Only the weak can be taken captive. Okay, let's read it in the Bible. Thou makest us a byword among the heathen, a shaking of the head among the people. Meaning what? People look at us and say, look at these nigglets. We don't like them. Look at these negs. We don't like them. Look at them. Look at them. They deserve to be held as captives. That's how y'all think. Only a lazy bum would go to another country, nap the people from the country, make them work for centuries, and then when they fought by literally taking off heads to literally say, you ain't gonna make us work for you for free, all of a sudden everybody else lazy except y'all. Come on, man. Just sit down. Take notes. Read a book. Watch this. Homer placed these dark-skinned people in the Iliad at the ends of the earth. At the ends of the earth. In Greek, Ethiopian came to designate primarily the inhabitants of Africa, south of Egypt, and in the broader sense, dark-skinned peoples in other parts of the world. Now watch this. Does the Bible compare the sons and daughters of Jacob to Ethiopians? Let's find out. Let's go to Amos. Chapter 9, verse 7. I'm just reading the Bible. Does the Bible compare the children of Israel to black Ethiopians? Let's find out. Let's go to Amos chapter 9, verse 7. Amos chapter 9, verse 7 in the King James Bible. What are we reading? The Bible. Are you not as children of the Ethiopians unto me, O children of Israel, saith the Lord? Who said it? God said it. Wait a minute, forefront. You telling me that God just compared the children of Israel to black Ethiopians? He sure did. Are you not as children of the Ethiopians unto me, O children of Israel? We're in the book of Amos. We're reading chapter 9, verse 7. This is in every King James Bible. Watch this. Have not I brought up Israel out of the land of Egypt? Where is Egypt? Africa. And the Philistines from Caphtor. Who are the original Philistines? They are melanated people groups connected to Mizraim, which is in Africa. And the Syrians from Ker. Who are the Syrians? The ancient Syrians are not. Ottoman Turks are not. Greek invaders are not. Roman invaders are not. Ishmaelite Arabs, but the people that were called Arameans, who descend from Shem, who are melanated people. BLK people. So we read Ethiopia, that's in Africa. We read about Egypt, that's in Africa. We read about the Philistines, they're connected to Egypt, that's Africa. We read about the Syrians, and all the children of Israel are compared to these folks. Hello. You missed that in Sunday school? Why you focus on color, forefront? Because it's in the Bible. It's in the book. The same people you reclassified the Ethiops, God calls the Hebrews them. God said they look like them. They don't look like this. They don't look like undocumented paper. You understand? But y'all make fun of us with Zwarte Piet. That's why we talking about this topic. Because a dumb black person is going to say, what about Christmas, forefront? Can't we celebrate Christmas? Why we can't celebrate our own captivity? Why we can't celebrate European people putting us in shackles and chains and Arabs doing the same thing, forefront? Please, forefront. Don't make it about color. Just say something that make me feel good, forefront. God is good all the time, and all the time God is good, forefront. John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. Then when you ask them, what's John 3:19? Well, I just know John 3:16, but I don't know John 3:19. What the hell? What the hell? How the only Bible verse you know is John 3:16? You better open up the book and read. So Zwarte Piet is not just a harmless tradition, y'all. It's ritualized humiliation. Black Pete represents the black captive, brought through European ports, chained in memory, and paraded in costume. The laughter, the joy, the jovial music masquerades trauma. The holiday itself, masquerades a war against our ancestors. Here's the key point people forget. This tradition emerges after the Transatlantic War against melanated people, not before. Show me where Jesus celebrated Santa Claus and Zwarte Piet. It ain't in the Bible. Show me where in the Bible Jesus said you could celebrate reindeer flying in the sky. Y'all believe this stuff? It ain't in the book, but you believe that reindeer can fly in the sky. Y'all believe that? Show me in the Bible where it says to cut a tree out of the forest, decorate it with silver and gold, hammer it to the ground so it doesn't topple over. Show it to me in the book. You understand? It's not in the Bible. We've been brainwashed. We've been psychologically disadvantaged. We've been intellectually inebriated. You understand? They taught us to be comfortable with our how can I put this politely? Oppression. I can't think of no other word, y'all. I'm sorry. They make us comfortable. Watch this. Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 1. I'm going to show you Christmas tree that happened 633 BC before Christ was even born. 600 years before Christ was born was the Christmas tree going around, and they were celebrating Semiramis and Nimrod and all of this stuff. Watch this. Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 1. Hear ye the word which the Lord speaks unto you, O house of Israel. God never talked to the Baptist church. God never talked to the Catholic church. He never had a conversation with them. Everywhere you read in the Bible, he says, thus saith the Lord to the house of Israel, the family of Israel, the people of Israel. Watch this, watch this, watch this. Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen. What does the word learn not mean? Do not learn the traditions of the Gentiles. We're going to read a tradition that the Gentiles do. Verse 3, for the customs of the people are vain. So there's a tradition that people do that God calls worthless, not worth your time, not worth your attention. Y'all do me a favor. If y'all want to donate, instead of donating a gift on here, donate to the Cash App. The Cash App is APHIEL LEVI. Okay. If you want to donate, instead of hitting the gifts, send a donation to the Cash App or PayPal, APHIEL LEVI. Moderators, if you could put it in the chat for me, please. Watch this. It says, for the customs of the people are vain, for one cuts a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workmen with the axe. So hold on, wait a second. There's a tradition that the God of the Bible says is not worth your time. It's worthless. It's pointless. And in this tradition, somebody is with an axe cutting an evergreen tree out of the forest. Now in 2025, they just go to Walmart or Kmart and they just drag the Christmas tree out of their attic and put it in their house. Wow. Watch this. They deck it with silver and with gold. What does the Bible say? They deck it with silver and with gold. Meaning what? They decorate the Christmas tree. This was before Christ was born, 600 years prior to. You mean to tell me your Christian pastor skipped this? What's your Cash App? Please write it in the chat. APHIEL LEVI. Right. Start singing a Christmas song. Fa la 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 la. Deck the halls with falls of holly. Ha la la. Jesus wasn't into that stuff, y'all. Jesus didn't give a damn about decorating no Christmas halls with some Christmas balls. What the hell? Jesus did not care about what do they call that thing? What do they call that thing? I just forgot the name of it. No stockings. Jesus didn't care about filling up no stockings. He didn't care about that stuff. You understand? Fa la 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 la. You understand? He wasn't talking about no fa la 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 la, nothing. Jesus did not give a damn about Santa Claus. You understand? Yeah, he was turning over tables. You understand? Watch this. They deck it with silver and gold. They hammer it with nails that it move not. So now, We got a bunch of guests that want to come up. When you come up, I'm just going to ask you a question, okay? We got Cut Loose 555 that wants to come up. We're going to start bringing up some guests. Esau clause. Yep, that's exactly it. That's an idol. That's exactly it. That's an idol. All right, I guess the guests don't want to come up. Let's try Jeffrey Salmaroon. It says waiting for the guests to join. Okay, maybe they're not in the room. Let's try the next guest. Albert Stowe. Albert Stowe. I think people come in, they tap the screen, and then they leave. Okay, it's not showing Albert Stowe either. Let's go to the next guest. That's Donald Tate Sr. All right, Donald Tate Sr. Welcome to the Forefront Radio. What's your question or comment? Donald Tate Sr., are you there? Donald Tate, can you hear me? Y'all, let me get a one in the chat if y'all can hear me. Donald Tate, are you there? Okay, I guess the guest is there, but we can't hear nothing. All right, we'll move on to the next guest. Yeah, he was muted. We ain't even hear where he was. He was completely muted. All right, Neha. Okay, I'm gonna prioritize the gifters because we have people that send gifts. We're gonna bring them up. Neha, welcome to the Forefront Radio. What's your question or comment? Neha, welcome to the Forefront Radio. What's your question or comment? If you haven't followed the Forefront Radio, please hit the icon at the top to click follow. Whenever we go live, click notifications, all notifications, so you can hit the notifications. Unmute her. She came up and muted herself. She got to unmute herself. Okay, Neha, are you there? Okay, let's bring up another guest. I think she clicked by accident. Monsopa, welcome to the Forefront Radio. What's your question or comment? Shalom, how you doing?
I'm well, thank you. I just wanted to say that if people are having a hard time, sometimes when you come up and the mic doesn't pick up automatically, they have to hit the box, like their own icon box, hit mute, save, and then unmute. So sometimes you have to toggle from the box of your own icon to be able to get the mic to activate. That's all I wanted to say, brother.
Thank you for sharing that. So y'all heard the instruction the sister provided. When you come on the platform, make sure you click on your profile and unmute yourself so you're able to speak, all right? Do you have any questions or comments pertaining to the topic, sis?
No, I just wanted to say I enjoy this content. All praises to the Most High. Thank you for your time, brother. I'll be in the comments.
All praises, all praises. All right, let's go to the next guest. Donald, you're back on. Welcome to the Forefront Radio. What's your question or comment? Donald, you're back on. Welcome to the Forefront Radio. What's your question or comment? You wanna unmute yourself? I love when you start cooking with the sound effects. All praise to the Most High. All praises to the Most High. Okay, Don, we're not able to hear you. Please try to drop down and come back up. Please try to drop down and come back up. We're unable to hear you. Let's go to the next guest. Oz Babes, welcome to the Forefront Radio. What's your question or comment?
Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. Yeah, good morning. It is not that Jesus didn't care about the gifts and so on, or celebration of Christmas. It is just not of God. You understand?
There you go.
It's not
Yep.
right. It's not of God, and Jesus definitely wasn't born this time around, right at this time of the year. So all of those decorations and all of those excitement and celebration is not of God. That is it.
That's correct. Good comment. All right. So if Jesus didn't celebrate Christmas, what celebration did he celebrate in the winter? Oh, the guest dropped down. The guest dropped down. Okay. Well, I guess she just want to leave that comment and drop. She came in, dropped the mic. She's like, hey, that thing pagan. We ain't doing that thing. And then drop the mic. All praises. There you go. User 0724 wants to come up. There we go. Feast of dedication. Welcome to the Forefront Radio. What's your question or comment?
Good morning, host. I live in the Netherlands, and I'm a black man in the Netherlands, and we call
Bring
that.
it out. Bring it out. I want somebody from the Netherlands to talk about Zwarte Piet. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. Talk about Zwarte Piet, please.
Yeah, I just
Explain for
put
the
it
people
in
that
your
simple
comments.
that don't know what the hell it is. Go ahead.
Zwarte Piet is a slave from Sinterklaas, right? He's a slave from Saint Nicholas, right? We call Zwarte Piet is just because I live in the Netherlands, right? So Dutch is my main language. So I apologize because we were colonized by the Netherlands, right? I'm from Guyana, South America, the Dutch part of it, right? So my English is not very well, but I'm gonna try to explain it, right? Sinterklaas is just a made-up story, right? And when I talking about a made-up story, don't get me wrong, because the original Sinterklaas came from Turkey, but that's another topic, right? But this guy you put, he's just a slave, man. That's it. He's just a slave. It's a whitey elite. He's. Do you guys know about Sinterklaas? You know who's Sinterklaas?
Yeah, in America they call him Santa Claus. So
yes, you have two different
in
types,
Netherlands
right?
it's different. Yeah.
Yes.
Give us a Netherlands version.
Sinterklaas. Right? Sinterklaas, he has a lot of slaves around him, right? And they are doing the dirty job. For example, right? You have little kids, right? They want to have presents, right? So like a little kid, you got to put your your shoes. You got to put your shoes, right? Then you got to read to Sinterklaas, right? You got to read a letter, right? You got to write a letter. Hey, sorry for my English, but I'm gonna try to explain it. You got to write a letter to Sinterklaas, right? And in that letter, you got to tell Sinterklaas, please, right? I was a good girl or I was a good boy the whole year, right? So please send. Can you please give me a present? Please, because I listen to my parents, I listen to the school teacher the whole year. So please send. Can you send me a letter, right? And after that, scent will surprise you when you are sleeping, right? In the night, right? The scent, right? He let his slaves, Zwarte Piet, right? Going like thieves in the dark, right? They will read your letter, right? And if they don't like your letter, they will put you in a bag, right? Like a little child. They will put you in the bag, right? Then they will bring you to Spain, right? Because you was not a good behaving child the whole year. But if you are a good child, they will leave a present for you. So when you wake up in the morning, right? Hey, this is so funny. When you wake up in the morning, right? And you don't see a present, that means Zwarte Piet will come and, how you say that, kidnap you. Right?
Nap you. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So this a brother that's a descendant of those that were taken as captives by the Netherlands. That's giving you the actual history, and people in my comment section talking about BS. This is literally European people putting children's stories of how they want to make their children afraid of melanated people and telling
Exactly.
you, look, write a letter to Santa Claus. Write a letter to Santa, just like in America, they say, write your Christmas letter to Santa Claus. Tell him what you want for Christmas, right? If you a bad kid, Santa Claus is going to send Zwarte Piet to put you in a bag and nap you and bring you all the way to Spain, which parallels when Spain deported black folks out of Spain and Portugal, right? And initiated the Transatlantic War. That's what it's about. That's what it's about, y'all. Thank you for sharing that, brother. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
I appreciate
thank you
sharing
too.
that.
The only problem, I apologize for my English, but in Dutch, I can even explain it more better, right? But anyway, you know,
I totally understand. You did a good job. Yeah, I know your English wasn't Englishly, but you did a good job.
But anyway, it's racism. It's racism. That's it.
Exactly. That's what it is. That's what it is. Thank you so much for sharing your comment. Let me get into some history.
But before
All
I
praises
go,
to the
give me
Most High.
30 seconds.
Sure.
Give me 30 seconds before I go, right? So now what they did, right? Because we black people in Europe, right? We fight for it, right? I think for 80 years now we fight for it. That is racist. So now they changed it. Do you know that they changed it? You cannot paint your face black anymore, because we go to the court, right? We go to the court, and we win. We win. So now Santa Claus still exists, but they turn it now not to Zwarte Piet, but to Color Piet. So you can make yourself green, red, blue, whatever you want, but you can't make yourself black anymore. And it starts
Santa's little elves. Wow.
And that starts in 2023. It starts, right? You cannot paint your face black anymore. You cannot wear big earrings anymore. You cannot make with lipstick your lips big anymore. It's not allowed anymore, right? But they will still keep the tradition, because it's also a money-making business, right? Because because everybody will go to the toy store, right? So it's also a big business in the Netherlands. It's a big business. So they keep that tradition with Santa Claus, but now they make color Piets, not black Piets anymore, right? That's what I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that history. Most people are not aware of this information, and this is somebody from our community that is associated with Curaçao in the Netherlands, right? So he knows about this. For the detractors that are here that disagree with the information, he lived it, he experienced it. So no one can say he's incorrect or misinformed if he's talking about his own community, impacting his own community. Live visibility restricted. Why y'all doing that, y'all? Why when we talk about history, people want to report the live? Y'all gotta stop that. Y'all gotta stop doing that. Y'all gotta stop reporting my live. Now I gotta restart the live due to the fact that people are reporting live because we're reading about history. Y'all stop doing that. We're going to restart the live. Thank you for your listenership. If you haven't followed the Forefront Radio, follow the Forefront Radio.